now that that's all out of our system.
Yep, I'm loosey-goosey, ready for the show, Joe.
How was New York?
It was fun. It was fun. Other than being tired, as I'm getting older, Joe. I'm getting older. I think we've discussed this. I'm definitely getting older.
I hear.
We basically, because it was me, Josh, and Tom were going, and through a series of events, we were driving in like big boys, as you always say, to New York.
It's a big, scary city.
Yep. So Tom was driving. Josh had something come up with the family, so he couldn't come in until Friday night. So he was supposed to come in Saturday morning, but he was like, I can get a thing. So that all kind of worked out. So it was only me and Tom for the first 2 days. We got there late at 11. Like we wanted to get there early so we can get in. But Tom stopped at a McDonald's along the way, and it ended up taking us off the route, and it changed his GPS, and we kind of lost time.
That sucks.
Yeah, so we lost time. So we got there. Oh, and then this got there. I don't know where you parked. Where did when you parked in New York, wherever you did the reservation?
Yeah.
Did they park your car?
Did what?
Did they park your car?
So it was like an underground garage gimmick,
Right.
You pull in, and I had the reservation, and they scan it, and then you give them the keys, and they take it to a spot somewhere else. Like, I'm already in the facility, though.
Not a problem, but they go park your car at some point.
Yeah, they don't say go drive at the spot, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So we go to we don't like those for New York because when we're done with the show for the day, we'll go eat in New York.
Yeah.
So if we bought anything, we have to go back to Tom will put his travel case because he has all the artwork, his pens, his pencils. I bought. If I bought merch or bought comics or whatever, you're lugging that around to the restaurant. So we'll go back to the parking garage. And the parking garage that we do, it's right after you come in from the Lincoln Tunnel.
Okay.
It's right there. And you pull in, you do the ticket thing like the one in Scranton. You pull in, hit the button. It says take the ticket, pay before walking back to your car, blah, blah, blah. And then you go in and park, right?
Right.
Park it yourself, and there's spots. So we go in, and it's a deep garage. You go down, you go around, going around. There's no spots. So other than this row of cars and it says reserved parking, because they have the monthly parking there.
Sure.
Cars will be towed. So we go around. There's nothing else but there. We go around twice. And people are pulling out once in a blue moon, and now you want to be the first car, so the next spot is yours. And sometimes people pull in front of us as we're going around. So now we're the third car. You're not getting anything that way. The second or third time we come around, this guy, broken English says, "There's park it. You're going around." And Tom's like, "There's no spots." He's like, "Down at the end." Tom's like, all right, down at the end. And we go around. We go around 4 or 5 times after that.
Down at the end?
Down at the end. Pass down at the end. And he goes, the ones that say reserved, park there on the 5th time. Tom goes, you didn't say that. Those say reserved. He goes, those are ones down end. So the 5th time, there was 40 of them. We parked there, but Tom's like, I'm in New York. It's the first day. I don't want my car towed. You know what I mean?
True.
So that was right out of the gate. That kind of had us hot because it was like if you had just told us, we would have parked. But once we figured that out, we parked. We got to the show. We got in, and the first day, Tom had an amazing show. He did the first day is like art day. Because that's when you get on your lists, because they can fill up if you're taking a list on Thursday, it can fill up all the way to Sunday. So he was like, "Oh, okay, you got lots of work," but he didn't fill up. He's like, "I still have time to do it the rest of the week." So that was good. And then we went back to the car after the show, dropped everything off, and went to eat that night at John's Pizza on Times Square. The greatest pizza. That's in no way ho hum, Joe.
It's all right.
That's what I was waiting to hear. But we had the Hawaiian, with ham and pineapple.
That's even worse.
And it was so good. I was so glad we had it. But then after that, we would come in each day to park in that garage and get out. And it was fine, except for the Friday night leaving, because that was like Friday. Thursday wasn't bad. Friday was bad. And then getting in and out of the town on Saturday and Sunday was good. So I like that. The only thing I didn't like, another thing, was the hotel, because we couldn't get anything close because they're realizing what's going on, like for conventions and stuff like that. And there was a game over the weekend. The Jets were playing at the stadium. We had to park. We had to go really far out past Secaucus to get our hotel. It was a nice hotel, but the fire alarm went off.
I heard, what was it, Saturday morning at like 5 a.m.? I saw both you and Tom lamenting about it.
Yes. So Josh had come in that Saturday night, and we went out to eat. And he comes in, and we get the ride back. We drive back to the hotel, and we're like figuring everything out for tomorrow, the next day. And we're like, okay, what do we want to set our alarms for so we can get in and get our bagels? And we said, okay, like 6:30-ish, because some people take a shower before. That's what we were figuring out. Some people go to shower beforehand. I shower in the morning, blah, blah, blah. It's all going to work out. So the alarm goes off at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and it's so loud. And Josh is mad at me because my phone's going off. I'm like, it's not my phone, right? So like, there's no light that says like fire, you know what I mean, in the room. Or like the sprinklers aren't going off. So let's look out the door. All right, Tom looks out the door, whether there's alarm, I don't even remember. Something's there was lights flashing. He's like, yeah, it's got to be a fire alarm. I'm like, all right, I'm fucking pissing before I go outside. So I go piss. I'm like, all right, I had shorts on and no shirt. Like gym shorts and underwear on. So I'm like, in my socks. I'm like, all right, I'm putting my pants on. All right, I'm putting my shirt on. Let me find my shoes. The
alarm's going off, but it's not like people are banging on your door to evacuate.
No, but people are going down the steps. I'm like, all right, where's my money? I'm grabbing that. I had like cheap comics. I'm like, fuck it, let them burn. If they burn, they're like $3 a piece that I bought. There were hole fillers. I'm like, I didn't grab my art. I didn't have much art at the time. I'm like, all right, Tom, you got the keys to the van? He's like, why? I said, because if the fucking place is burning down, I don't want to be stranded in Secaucus with a van with no keys. Plus, it's 38 degrees outside tonight.
A brisk 38 degrees, sure.
Yeah, so we will go sit in the van with the heat on. So we go outside, and Josh Josh loads up. He's like, I'm taking everything, right? So we go downstairs. We're sitting in the van. Everybody's standing around looking. I'm like, come on, let's go out to the van. We sit down, we turn it on, the heat's on. The fire truck comes, blah, blah, blah. They go in. After a while, we see people starting to shuffle back in. We go in. They let us back in the hotel because for warmth. And they said, we think we got it. I never really found out what it was because I didn't ask because I was tired.
Sure.
But they let us go in, and Tom said he heard later that he's sure it was not a false alarm, that there was a small fire somewhere, but it was something stupid, and they got it, and they're like, there's no hot spots, it's just this one small spot, so we're going to just let you go, whatever, and back. And we all went back, and then that was it. I never, like the next day when we even came back, we left in the morning when we came back, I was like, I meant to stop and ask at the desk, like, what was on fire? And we never did because there was like a tight, like the crew working there. There was like, they were at the desk. They weren't at the desk. It wasn't like there was 12 people. It was one or two ladies running around. So I'm like, fuck it. Let them, they're working. They don't need me, Joe Schmo from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Like, but the place didn't burn down. They're letting us stay. It was good. Otherwise, they had a little continental breakfast there with store-bought bagels, which was not going to cut it. But they did have the coldest orange juice I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, because when we came back in from waking up, I was super tired. I didn't get to brush my teeth. So I had, like, ass mouth. It was just like I could taste whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get an orange juice just to wash something down. And they just had the thing that you push the button and the orange juice comes out of it. And it was like, if one more degree and it would have been like solid orange juice. And I was like, this is so refreshing. Let me have 9 glasses of this, sending my sugar into the stratosphere. So that was like all of it. But that got us a jump start on getting our bagel in the morning. That was fun.
So no issues at the bagel place. Did you get any bagels to bring home?
Other than the one that the bagel place was mad at me because I was talking, the one I go to here.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, where you go? Where are you going to get the bagels? I'm like, one of the best bagel places in New York. And they're like, they're not better than ours. Bring us one back. I'm like, will do. So I brought it back, and the lady didn't work Monday, who was kind of mad at me. So she worked today as we record this, but due to various things, I didn't go back for lunch when she was going to eat it. So tomorrow I will get the follow-up on how good it was or not. So.
You know she's not going to sell that it's good, right?
Oh, no. But immediately I brought it in. The one lady wasn't working. The other was like, these are so much bigger than ours. Heavier. And I'm like, yes, they are. I mean, they're not as cheap. And when I say cheap as on price, like a bagel with cream cheese in Dixon is $2.84. And in New York, that's $4.20 cents.
Okay.
$4.79 is a bagel with cream cheese in New York. So I was like, okay, now I get 3 times the cream cheese that you put on, and the bagel's bigger. Now you want to debate taste, that's fine, but we can't debate that your bagels are as hefty as theirs. So there's a debate going on. We'll see. I can't wait to find out what happens.
So I know you went to your Ho Hum Pizza place.
Yeah.
And I know you got your bagels 4 days in a row.
3 days because we got in late on the first.
Oh, 3 days in a row. Did you guys go anywhere else to eat? Any other places that you checked out or anything?
Yes, I won't know the name of it, but it was a sports bar / pub on Restaurant Row in New York, the best kept secret in New York. That's something I'll tell you later. But we went, and it was just like a pub there, and we saw the menu and what they had on it, and not the prices like what it was. We just won't eat in any restaurant in New York that doesn't have prices, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You got to know what you're getting yourself involved in.
Right, because Tom told the story of taking 2 people to New York for a trip back in the day, and the female picked the restaurant. There was no prices on the menus, and when they walked out, he said it's not like I even ate lobsters and steaks. We walked out of there, and it was a $285 meal. So now he's gun shy and he'll just look at the prices. So we went in there, and I had a burger, build yourself like just to build a burger, because they had like different fancy burgers. It's like, oh, this is on a brioche bun with this kind of pepper jack cheese. I'm like, build a burger. I want a hamburger, well done, the regular bun, American cheese. That's it. That's all I want. No fried onion, no nothing. But Joe, it was like a thick burger.
Yeah.
Juicy, and it was one of the, however I know seasoning. I'm like, oh my God, they season it. But it was so good. Don't know if I was starving.
Salt and pepper?
That's right. First, you put the pepper in the pan. Then you put the salts. That's another story somebody told me for seasoning venison. But
how could it be juicy if it was well done?
Oh, it was. See, when you get a big, thick burger like that, well done just means they sear the outside to that charred taste, which I like. But inside there was no blood. Which on a burger, I don't need blood. Oh. I don't need blood. It's as long as it's not dried out.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. And well done with a thick pub burger. It's not like you're getting those little patties. And then they were like, okay, so it comes with steak fries or some kind of fries, and they're like, for an upcharge you can get shoestring French fries. Mm-hmm. I'm like, upcharge me, sir. I will take the shoestring French fries. And that got me and Josh into the debate of what's the best French fry, because I'm like, he's like, oh, you do know that the Cadillac of French fries is waffle fries. And I was like, fuck you then, because shoestring French fries are the Lamborghini of French fries. He's like, what? And I'm like, Lamborghini. He's like, I don't know. It depends on the way you season them. I said, if they're seasoned, then they're not French fries. They're seasoned fries. It's two different things. But if you get a plain waffle fry, all right, it's 1A, 1B, but the shoestring French fry still wins. I'm a sucker for the shoestring French fry.
Gimme not so much shoestring. All right, like listen, shoestring's fine, whatever. I'm not gonna push any French fries away.
Right.
Okay, let's just say that. But they're not shoestring, but they're not steak fry. They're kind of somewhere in between. Like when you go to like a bar or a place around here and you get French fries, and like I said, they're not super skinny like shoestring, but they're not super fat. They're like kind of somewhere in between, but they're like super crispy.
Right.
That's what I need. As long as and yes, because the shoestring, you're gonna get them because of the size. There's a higher percentage that they're gonna be super crispy. I'm with you.
Yep.
But I need it a little bit thicker than a shoestring.
Okay, so there's something with the shoestring that it's just because it's the potato and whatever glaze they have on it, and it deep fries. Because the fries they had that they got that come regular were not only steak-ish fries, but they weren't steak-ish fries like Red Robin, because that'll get you your base or what I'm talking about.
Right.
These had more batter, if you get my meaning.
Oh, no, I don't like that.
Fry guy. I'm not a batter fry guy. The shoestring French fry is the potato-isty potato taste.
You even see some of the skin on them.
Yes, yes. I don't know about that because they were super battery, but the shoestrings are crisp, clean, blah, blah, blah. So that became a point of contention pretty much the whole weekend between me and Josh.
The Cadillac of French fries. Does he know the hell he's talking to?
That's right. I was like, you listen. So we did that, and then we ate on the way home. We ate like at a Friendly's because we don't know anything between New York and here.
Sure.
And Tom's like, I like Friendly's. It's in East Stroudsburg. We know it. We know the thing. But before that, the Saturday night, there's a bar, pub, restaurant in this like plaza with like a movie theater and a Chili's and stuff like that. And it's called Hula Hands.
Oh, yeah.
So we went there. I don't know if Hula Hands is a chain, but we didn't know it, so we went.
It's like a small chain, but sure.
Right. So we went in, and the food we got was amazing for me. I'm like, other people got other things. I got they had a deal, like it's like here's a deal, $24, and you get to pick an appetizer, a main course, and you get a free dessert. You know what I mean? Or you get a dessert with it. And so like a bunch of us went with that, where Tom went with a salad and like a chicken sandwich or something like that. And then he got like a sundae. I forget what Josh got, but mine of the three of them was I got a salad, and it was I was in the mood for a salad. When I'm in the mood for a salad, that's really good. So I got that. And then they gave us like these little hamburger buns to go with. That's what they looked like. They weren't hamburger buns with like everything seasoning on them.
Yeah.
So good. So I immediately downed that with the French dressing, by the way, in case you were wondering. The guy comes back out, and can I get you anything? I'm like, yeah, you can get me some more of these buns, sir. And he's like, yeah, I'll get you another one. And he brought out like an entree plate filled with them. And I was like, you, sir, are doing God's work. You know what I mean? So I was like, you guys get some, and the rest are mine. And then part of my deal was they had a steak fillet. It was only 4 ounce, but it's what I needed. And I was like, but that had a $4 upcharge. So I was like, I don't care, $4 upcharge. Got it medium rare in case you're going to ask. And then my two sides, they give you like green beans and something else. And I was like, nope, mashed potatoes and broccoli. He was like, really? I said, yes, that's what I want. He goes, okay, good choice. And then I had some caramel baked ice cream gooey dessert. And it was the perfect amount for the perfect price. Fantastic.
So there's like about 36 of them in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
A good chunk of them are in the New Jersey area.
Right.
The only ones in Pennsylvania are out toward Pittsburgh. So, do with that information what you will.
Right. Terrible football fans. It's
right.
not for them.
Right. I will say there is one in the Hershey area.
Ooh.
And the picture that they have there, like, I've absolutely driven by that. Like, it's right by the park. So,
yeah,
it's a nice 2-hour jaunt.
Though I will say this, if my meal didn't come with a free dessert, we were going to walk around the corner and go to Chili's. Because since Chili's has pulled their ass out of Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah.
I mean, now, as a chain restaurant, I wouldn't want to eat at a chain restaurant in New York. But since we don't have a Chili's around here anymore, I always did like their fajitas. Mm-hmm. And then that doesn't matter. That's the meal I'm going to get anyway. But their chocolate lava cake was always my favorite.
For sure. And you mentioned that we went to the hibachi place that took over the Chili's this week.
Oh, is there a hibachi? I haven't been down there in so long. So
you know the hibachi place that was in the Top Dog?
Yes.
They now moved to the Chili's.
Oh, they upgraded?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Top Dog will come back to.
Listen, the building's empty. It's in a prime real estate across from what used to be a Toys R Us. So
to bring it all back around, they had the best shoestring French fries. Top Dog.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Okay,
the best. And speaking of Toys R Us, part of the New York Comic Con was sponsored by Toys R Us, so they had Jeffrey there.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it Jeffrey the Giraffe? Is that his name?
Is Jeffrey the Giraffe.
Jeffrey. So they had him up on this balcony, and he was dancing, and everybody was cheering until they started yelling, "Jump, jump, jump!"
Oh boy!
It is New York and New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you talk about Philly being attention deficit criminals.
Oh boy! But now I don't know if I've gone on too long, but
no, never. There's still a lot more I have to ask about, but go ahead.
Okay, do you want to go ahead? Ask your next question then.
So that covers food. You said you bought some comics, but nothing big. Were there any big boy purchases in New York?
Okay, small. Like you said, I bought like 7 or 8. Of all the booths, there was only 2 booths that had reasonably priced comics, and by reasonably priced comics, I mean around $3 and kind of up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because there's no quarter books and no dollar books in New York, and they only had 2 booths that had multiple boxes, so you would have like Marvel, DC, Independent, all strung out there, and alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you two guys get my business. And I ended up buying. Do you remember you might know the writer J.M. DeMatteis, Joe?
Yeah, You know what? I heard J.M. DeMatteis on a podcast recently.
There you go. I was filling the holes from the Justice League 3000 and 3001 run.
Yeah.
That they did. I didn't really like the book, and I dropped off on it. But I'm like, it's Keith and Jam for like a couple bucks a piece, and I only need one left. And then somebody had some weird Western tales that weren't Jonah Hex for like $3 a piece. It like in minty this, you know what I mean? Like I don't
because those are older books.
Yeah, like 80s and like $3, whatever. I'll buy them all day. I need about 20 of them, so whatever. And you're not paying shipping for the books, you know what I mean? They're right in front of you. So that I did. And then the other thing that I did was there was no DC presence on the floor of the show anywhere at all. Not even in the hallway, not a merch table, other than panels. They did like up to a panel a day and had like big boy names there and everything, what we're doing for the future of the year. So I was shocked at that. They didn't have anything. And Marvel had a small presence, only a couple signings at their booth, not much giveaways because everybody's trying to cheapen it down. But they did have a Titans booth because Titans, the TV show, is coming back.
Yeah.
And they had a free pin every day if you showed up. There was 4 different ones.
Oh, one of each Titan, I would assume, right?
One is a Titan logo for the show, like the Titans.
Yes.
One was a Starfire, the version on the TV show. One was a Nightwing, which was the hottest that people wanted. And then the final one, which is the one I wanted, was the Crypto. So I went the first day, and they were like, okay, this is a thing you have to do. You have to get in line. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, I have an Artist Alley pass. Will that work? Because sometimes they have to scan the pass.
Yeah.
And as we discussed on the main show, if certain passes got you certain rights and certain ones didn't. And I was like, oh, well, sometimes, to to get something, to get the thing at the end, my email isn't hooked up to this. It's just an Artist Alley Pass. Like, will it still work? She's like, oh, yeah, it'll still work. She was such a nice lady on the first day. And I said, okay, well, I have to see with the line. I'm like, my feet hurt. I'm going to go sit down for a while, and I'll come back. Hopefully the line's, like, shorter. And she ended up going, looking at me, and she smiled. She slid the Titans pin over to me.
Oh.
And I'm like, thank you. You didn't have to do this. She goes, I can tell. You're like, you're tired. And I said, okay. I said, thank you. I said, but I'll be back, and I'll do it the right way for the next, couple. But now that I realize that, the Artist Alley Pass got me in early.
Mm-hmm.
So I would walk over to the booth at 10 to 10, and there'd be no line. And when they take the velvet rope down, I'd just walk through and get my pin. And so I did that 3 days in a row to get my pins. And the 2 ways to get the pin were to pretend to be a Star Labs guy. So I was Chris Farley, fat guy in a little coat in that one picture I put up.
Yes.
And then the other way was they had these Titan art boards, and they had an artist sitting there all day. And if you went the other line, they did a caricature of you in the Titans art board.
Sure.
So I did that one day, and because the line was short. And then I just took another quick photo because that's faster on the 4th day. And I got all the pins, and I think I got they gave you 2 temporary tattoos. So I got all those for my collection. I really like that, but I didn't go crazy on anything. The only big boy purchase, to bring it back around to what you asked me, was I did buy, I want to say when it's all said and done, couple $100 worth of art, like if you count commissions, like no.
Oh yeah, that right, because you did you mentioned that on the main show, right? I wasn't thinking of stuff that you got commissioned. Yeah, I was thinking.
I didn't know if that counted, and
it counts, but
I didn't lay them all out because I figured we don't want to blow the wad, on the first show.
Right.
But I do have some that weren't done, and they'll be coming in the mail. Not who you think.
Nothing from the West Coast.
No. We had a talk.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I went to see to see what he was doing.
Well, that was so. Okay, so before you get to that, what was, other than the art? Was there any other big boy purchase?
Oh, okay. Now, not for me. I did spend other people's money.
That don't count.
Oh, okay. I ended up buying. Did you see those sneakers that I took a picture of?
Yeah.
Scott wanted a pair of those. They are a hip hop band. They're called Czarface or something.
Sure.
And they're a hip hop band, and they had a table there, and they were selling a comic, a trade paperback that they were doing. Scott wanted that, and they were signing it at one booth. And then right after that, Chuck D from.
Do I let you hang out there? Because I know who Chuck D is from.
I know who it's from, but I can't.
Public Enemy.
And he's like, oh, Chuck D. And I was like, oh, okay. So these guys are going to be right there. I can get the signature and get right back in line for Chuck D. And Scott's texting me back. He's like, oh, thank you. Get me the comic book that's Chuck D's pushing. And if you're good, get an interview with him, because he's probably, the wheelhouse of all your fans that listen to you. And I was like laughing. And that's when I texted back. I said, sure, I'll walk up and say, hi, Mr. D. I'm not a fan, but could you tell me and my podcast listeners all about your time as being D in Run DMC?
Oh, my God.
And Scott's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. So I got to meet him, and I will say this: I do the thing right up front. I go, and with both guys, the Scars, the Czarface and Chuck D. I'm like, this is for a friend, because they'll ask me my name. I'll go Todd. I'm like, in case they're gonna personalize it, I go, it's not for me. It's for a friend. So if you're personalizing it, I'm gonna give you his name. And I'm not. He loves you. He had me come here. He couldn't make it. I always slather it on a little extra. I go, he wishes he could have been here. Work didn't make it happen, but he's a huge fan, and he asked me to get you something. But I'm like, I don't know much about your stuff, but my friend's going to love this. And the 2 guys from Czarface go, okay, so then we're not going to ask you what your favorite song of ours is. And they had a 7-inch that they were selling, and I bought him that too. And I flipped it over, and I was like, "This one, this is my favorite song." And they laughed because I'm so charming, Joe.
Oh, you are. Listen, they didn't turn their backs on you or nothing when you were turning on the charm. It all worked out, right?
Right. So that happened, and then Chuck D. They were more like wanted to talk. When I got Chuck D, I got the handshake, and he's like, "Your name?" And he had the pen right on the book, and I was like, "My name."
Off.
What?
Cap off. Yeah. When you hand them the pen, it's like when you hand them the pen, the cap already better be off the pen because I'm not wasting the time to take the cap off myself. Go ahead.
Well, they were only signing stuff that they sold there. If not, you had to pay. So
gotcha.
I have the ticket, so they have to sign it. So they had a pen ready. But I mean, he had the pen touching the book. So he's like, "Your name?" And I'm like, "Todd, but it's for my friend." He's like, "What's his name?" "Scott." And he wrote Scott. And he's like, "You're a good friend. Thank you." And he shook my hand and then gave me the shove goodbye.
Yeah.
Shoulder. It's like, I've signed Zarskar, whatever their name. They didn't do that. They took time, but Chuck D is like, "We're going to move this along." Nice. He was nice about it. But then I went, so Scott wanted the sneakers, and that was the same day, but hours later at the Super 7 booth.
Okay.
So I went over, and they started at 5. They went on sale at 5. They had the announcement. So when I got over there, it was about 10 to 5, and the line was around the booth. And I was like, "Scott, the line's around the booth." He goes, "Okay, I would have liked them signed, but if you go back later and they have any, get me my size unsigned, and I'm happy with them." So I came back. I figured the signing was from 5 to 6 because I didn't have any paperwork on it. I knew it was at 5. I came back at 6:15, and I asked the guy, I'm like, "Can I ask you a question? I want to buy something." He's like, "I'm sorry, the booth is shut down till 7:00. We're doing something." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "But when I come back tomorrow, will you have any of those sneakers left?" And he goes, "Oh, that's what we're selling. The guys are here." And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, my friend wants a pair." And they're like, "What size?" And he had a big paper with all the checked off marks of what one they had left. I was like, "This size." He's like, "Oh, we got it." And he goes over and he's like, "You could sign." I was like, "Oh, there's no line now?" He said, "No, it all died down, so you're good." So I'm glad I didn't wait in that big line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no shit.
Just get there. And I walk up, and now I'm reaching in my pocket to make a short story even longer. I have 2 envelopes in my pocket from the bank. I keep $100 bills in one, and I keep smaller, 5, 10s, 1s, and 20s in the other one. So that way, when I have a big boy purchase, you bring out the big boy. You know what I mean?
Right, that's your Detroit roll. Everything's facing the right way. I get it.
Yep. So I walk up, and I put them down. They're on the counter. They put the shoes in front of me. And I don't see who's behind the counter. And I'm putting the money, and I'm getting it out, and I hear they're talking to you. And the guy who was running the booth goes, I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "They said, how you doing?" And I look up, and it's the guys who are signing the thing from the record at the other booth. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. When I'm counting my money to do something, I keep my head on a swivel and I stay focused so nobody can grab it and run off. I've seen that at a con." The guy's like, "I totally understand. You're the guy who doesn't know who we are." And I'm like, "That's right." And I'm like, he's like, "Same friend?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's for my other friend." And he's like, they're like, "God damn, you're a good friend." He's going, right? So I'm like, "All right, thank you." I shook their hands again. They signed it. And I'm like, we're guessing you don't have any other questions for us, right? And I mean this sincerely, Joe, all in good fun. You know what I mean? They were super nice. They're like, "We understand. Not everybody, people can't make it." And they're like, "Well, tell your friend. We hope they really enjoy it." And I'm like, "I will. Mr. Whatnot is going to love these." No, I didn't say that, but that would have been charming. So, but yeah, so that was all the big boy purchase. I bought some stuff from Shirtless Bear Fighter that Becky wanted. I didn't see anything that you or DJ would have wanted. I was going to try and get you a gift or something, but there was not there. It was a sparse con, so as it was. Do you have any other questions or?
Well, so, obviously purchases, you mentioned, whoever these guys are, right?
Right.
And then you mentioned, you and Kevin had an incident, right? Everything okay there?
No, we just talked. I asked him, I said, what's he doing? Because he had pages from Tales of the Human Target.
Okay.
So I was thinking about buying one because they're there. You can't do anything wrong with them. I mean, this is,
they're already done.
Yeah, this is my zombie sailor, if you will. So I was like, nah, because he just did the characters, and then the backgrounds were all digital, so they weren't on the artboard. So he's like, I'm getting into more digital. I was like, because this was Booster, I was like, I knew I could sell Booster pages. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that seems fair enough. And then I asked him what he was doing, and he goes, I said, is there anything coming up? Because I'll pick up, a book that you're drawing. And he said he's doing that Stan Lee book from DC. Imagine Stan Lee. He says, I have a short story in there. And he goes, I'm doing the Superman story. I said, didn't you draw the Flash for it? He goes, yeah. I don't know why I'm doing the Superman story. That's the one they told me to do. And I said, oh, okay. I said, did you get a cover? And he's like, a cover? Why? I said, because they're doing like 12 or 13 covers for it. They're doing the main cover, and then every character they did, like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they're all getting an individual character. He's like, really? They're doing like 15? I'm like, I'm not sure if the number's 15, but it's up there. He's like, oh, I said, you're not doing one? He goes, no. He goes, wish I was. That would have been another check. He goes,
yeah, no shit.
So other than that, and then like I came back to the table a couple times. I was looking through his pre-drawn stuff just to see what he has. And we were discussing She-Hulk and The Boys and TV and stuff like that. And I mean, I wasn't there all the time. It's just you're there for 4 days. So you walk by the table 100 times.
Right.
So I would talk to creators that I knew. I talked to Jimmy Palmiotti for a second. And I asked him, I said, am I ever too much with Jonah Hex? He goes, no, Jonah's my guy. Keep it coming. You know what I mean? And then I talked to him about like helping me in DMs with art. He's like, if you ever have an art question, send it along. Super, super nice. I praised him on this stuff. And then, Amanda too. And they had a constant line whenever they were on at the table. You know what I mean? But I didn't spend a lot of time in Art Sally. I spent a lot of time like walking the floor looking for gifts. And that's going to bring me to my final point. This was an underwhelming New York Comic Con. Very underwhelming like I said, the DC no presence. Marvel had an under presence. Manga still goes, or anime and manga still goes crazy. I was showing you those big pictures of displays and, 20-foot high statues and everything. But everything else was like there was no like Hollywood presence. There was like one Teen Wolf movie, not the 80s one, but whatever.
Right.
For that, there was something for like a haunted house TV show that I don't even remember, but don't care. The Funko booth was huge. Then everything else was just, there was like no South Park booth or any DC move or Warner Brothers move or anything else.
Yeah, like no prop set up like they did like a couple years back.
No suits, no like the cars or whatever. All that space was relegated to single table booths. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like here's your guys who wrestles trying to sell their Mark photos there, or here's somebody who's selling. Literally, there was 3 or 4 booths, the same company that were selling chocolate and fudge.
Oh, okay.
It was like really weird. I'm like, but nothing like where I would get the freebies and the giveaways and the exclusives that would come from shows and movies that you can line your pockets with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd have all these swag bags.
Right. And Image wasn't even there.
Oof.
I couldn't find an Image booth because whenever I go over, like when I go to a show like that, I try to go get Saga stuff or, you know what I mean? Like I bought like a Negan replica bat one time there and pins and stuff. And there was nothing. The biggest thing, all joking aside, took up most of the floor, like the biggest spot on the floor was the Whatnot booth.
Yeah.
And it had like these like little, like it had a big show floor And then, like, around the edges, it had these yellow booths where people were going to actually whatnot live from New York Comic Con.
Yep.
And I was like, I have nothing. And that's where I saw the Rob, on a down moment and a less energetic moment. And I took the picture, and I talked about this with Adam today on Porch Talk. I said there was a part of me that wanted to go over and sit down next to him. But I didn't know what way I would go with my first words. Do you know what I mean? It would be like, am I gonna praise his ego so we can talk?
Uh-huh.
Or am I gonna be Todd and just be, talk to him about whatever? Or am I just gonna needle him? And I'm like, I'm not gonna needle him because that's not what I want to do. But I also don't want to bother him.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. You know what I mean?
Especially not giving him $40, It's
Oh no, I was gonna get him to draw the Hatchet logo on my chest in rainbow, but he did. I didn't have the 40. So that's the high point, was seeing Rob out in the wild, not doing flips and twists.
Right. But did anyone recognize you? Did you get caught by anyone?
No, nobody came up. I don't think anybody came up to me and said hi.
No, I know. I was being messaged by someone who was looking for you. Friend of the show, listen to the show, Matt Fish was looking for you. He was there, I think Friday and Saturday, and I'm just I was like, I didn't want to be like, well, you can just message Todd and say hey, where you at,
And I woulda.
I know you woulda, but I'm just I don't know, just can't miss him. He's Todd, I don't know.
Well, I did look different. And I had my mask on sometimes, so.
I gotcha. But all in all, it was a good time. Just, New York is not the New York that you remember from 4 years ago or whatever, 5 years.
No, a lot of people dialing it back to save money.
Yeah.
But I will say this, it was more spacious and not packed.
Well, that's good.
You know what I mean? I wasn't throwing elbows,
Right.
That's I let's put it this way. I really did have a good time. I bought a bunch of stuff that I wanted. I got art. I overspent, but I always say I take a little bit more than I can afford to lose, and that's what makes it thrilling. But it didn't hurt me. It's probably, I was going to go to Baltimore in 2 weeks for a day or two. That's probably not going to happen. And
right.
Now I'll probably just dial it back to a day out at Sokol's if I could find a ride.
Oh, boy. Well, I got to be there early, but I know another guy who's going, so,
We'll see. Yeah, I heard somebody was giving me the Iggy, who can't give me a ride, but knows somebody else that might be able to give me a ride.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll discuss off mic.
All right, that's a perfect spot to end the show. Hey, everyone, longboxheroes.com. Wherever you find the show, be sure you make all your purchases through our Amazon affiliate link. Sign up for the Patreon, get this show 2 days before everyone else gets it, so that you can listen to the show in the correct listening order, plus 2 extra shows a month from Todd and I, plus those expert, high professional quality scans of those previews catalogs. The TeePublic sale is going on now, 35% off designs inspired by this very show that you're listening to and other shows in the soon-to-be-named network over at tinyurl.com/longboxheroes. And, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there. I enjoyed hearing Todd enjoying New York Comic Con. How about that?
That's a great way to end the show. All
right. Bye, everybody.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.